story that I'm gonna tell you, which is probably not gonna be here, unfortunately. It's such a nice day, but my battery's about to die. Is when I had 5 extreme back-to-back seizures. Hey, what is going on, people? How are you doing today? Today's gonna be a quick one, just because it's a current day, which I absolutely hate doing, is having to record on a current day. But also, I'm gonna tell you a story just because I don't really have much time, but I'm gonna tell you a story while I walk to Dunkin' Donuts. One of the things I want to explain to you guys is that yesterday, while I was recording, I had a seizure. Hold on, give me a second. So I had a seizure. I had a seizure yesterday while I was recording to make my video, and now I've said probably, I don't know how many times before of talking about epilepsy, but usually mine is a type of is this sun in your way? Hold on. Anyway, anybody who doesn't know, which I've said before in many other videos, is that I have epilepsy, and what I usually have is mostly focal seizures. The seizures that I usually have are just focal seizures, which means I can't talk. I can't like read anything. Like if somebody was like talking to me and said like to write down something, I wouldn't be able to read anything. If I had like a text or something while I'm having a seizure, I can't understand what the text says. But what I'm getting to is that the story that I'm gonna tell you, which is probably not gonna be here, unfortunately. It's such a nice day, but my battery's about to die. Is when I had 5 extreme back-to-back seizures. There are many memories that you remember in your life, and this story that I'm gonna tell you, I remember as if it was just yesterday. This story is when I was actually in my first year of college, if I'm not mistaken. This was, I would say, at least maybe like 4 to 5 years ago, but I remember it as if it was just yesterday. So I had 5 back-to-back seizures, and before I had my surgery for actually epilepsy, I took a surgery for having seizures, but before it I used to have full, it's called grand mal seizures, which is the full like head to the side, the body shaking, the one thing that many people don't understand is that when you have a seizure, you can't breathe. You're gasping for air, and that's why anybody who has like either had experience of seeing somebody having a seizure, or if you're somebody who has a seizure or who has epilepsy, knows that they can't breathe when you're actually in a seizure. So I remember that the first one, I think, if I'm right, was when I was asleep. I woke up while I was asleep, and it lasted only, oh wait, no, I'm completely off track. I used to have grand mal seizures, and after I had the surgery for it, then I started to mostly have focal seizures. But the thing is, when you actually have that surgery, from the neurologist at the time, they always tell you that after the surgery, you're actually going to have more, it's like a larger percentage of actually having seizures after the surgery, which is completely what you would think the opposite. but it happens, and then eventually after maybe, I want to say 6 months, that's when it starts to become of like, if you're going to be seizure free, or at least drop down by a little bit of where it's like nowhere near having like full grand mal seizures. Now, when I had these back-to-back seizures, the first one was when I was asleep. I was asleep and I woke up with my head to the side on the pillow. It lasted for, I think, maybe it was no more than like 30 seconds, I want to say. And the thing is, over such a long time, I've kind of gotten used to having seizures. So once it happens, I'm like, okay, I'm still here, I'm okay, I know exactly what's going on right now, so I'm just gonna let it go. So then I remember that, now this is, the one thing that I didn't tell you is that I was down the shore not long after the surgery that I had. I remember I went down the shore and I didn't want to, but I ended up going just to have people with me to watch me. And after we were down the shore, the thing was, I was dehydrated. I didn't drink any water, anything at all. Like I just wasn't drinking. So this is when it goes into the first seizure, which was like when I was sleeping. Then I had another one after that, and it was a little bit worse, but not like ridiculous. And now this whole time of where these 5 seizures, I want to say it was somewhere between 24 to 48 hours. So this is like literally happening a lot, very fast, in a very short amount of time. So, let's see here. Now, I had another one. And at this point, when I'm on my 3rd seizure that I had, I ended up going to the hospital. I remember we went to the hospital, but then at this point, there's only one part that I remember, and I woke up in one of the beds in the hospital, screaming, yelling, like practically crying. Like, the thing was, let me see if this is a little bit better. The thing was, when I had that 4th and 5th one, I woke up and I had no clue where I was. I was in a hospital room in the ER, and I freaked out. I woke up from a seizure still, obviously, like, it wasn't like completely done. I still had my head to the side and shaking and all that stuff, but it was for a very short time. And what actually was, it was like a seizure that was going on for like 3 to 4 minutes when I was in the hospital. And I woke up freaking out. Absolutely freaking out, because I didn't know where I was. I woke up in a bed in the hospital not knowing where the heck I was. And the thing that I do remember so much is that I don't even know how to explain this. There's literally no way to explain this, but it felt, from the things that I was like seeing and the things that I was hearing, when you have a seizure, sometimes you can see stuff, and sometimes you can hear it, of like everything around you gets like extremely loud, and your eyesight gets all messed up. So what I remember was, there's no way to explain this, I feel like, but it felt like I went to hell and back. It was one of the scariest moments I've ever had in my entire life. And I remember once these 5 seizures were done, I remember talking to, I think maybe it was like a nurse or something like that, where they said that I was extremely dehydrated and that's why I had 5 back-to-back seizures. But it was the scariest time, and I still remember it today. And this is years and years ago. So, like now, I had a seizure just yesterday, and it takes a while depending on what type of seizure that you had, and also how long it lasts for. But the next day you're like worn out, you're completely exhausted, you're very tired. So this is why I didn't want to make an actual vlog, I guess I would say. So I felt like telling you guys because I wouldn't want to skip a day. But that is mostly the story of having my 5 seizures back to back, and that was scary. So that's my story that I wanted to tell you, since it's gonna be kind of a boring sort of vlog. But I hope you guys have a great day. Whatever time it is, in the morning, in the evening, whatever time, I will talk to you guys later. Peace.